It was terrifying. My whole body was shaking.
A Toledo plastic surgeon will spend 19 and a half years in prison for drug and sex trafficking charges. Dr. Manish Gupta was arrested last year after an FBI raid at his area offices and his home. Gupta is a predator who used his position of trust to target high-end escorts and then drug and assault them. While many have refused to testify, one woman did. I talked exclusively with the victim in this case, victim number one, as she's called, about why she came forward. This is victim number one, an anonymous high-end sex worker who was drugged and sexually assaulted by Dr. Manish Gupta in 2016. She's meeting with me just moments after confronting her attacker at his sentencing.
Manish Gupta drugged me and raped me, and he filmed himself raping me.
Victim number one is the only one who came forward to testify, though the U.S. Attorney's Office says Gupta has accepted responsibility for preying on, drugging, and sexually victimizing multiple women. That was his M.O. He would travel to medical conferences in large cities, hire escorts, drug them, and then record himself sexually assaulting them. According to the FBI, one of his employees found dozens of SD cards with videos of Gupta assaulting unconscious women. Victim number one says she agreed to meet up with Gupta at a medical conference in LA, but did not agree to what happened in his hotel room.
It was terrifying. My whole body was shaking. But there were words that I needed to say to him that I've been thinking about for 5 years. And there were words that just needed to come out of me, and I needed to say them. And I felt extremely grateful to have the opportunity to make him look at me and listen to me.
The FBI and attorneys say it's important to understand sex workers can be raped and can be victims.
It doesn't matter if they consented to it initially. They do, and that's okay. But then what's taken from them after the fact? It's rape.
Victim number one believes others would come forward if they didn't have to fear going to jail or losing their kids.
But we need to allow access for basic human rights when a worker is abused or assaulted, and we need to open the pathways for them to be able to come forward safely.
It is important to note, because there have been many questions to the FBI of patients of Dr. Gupta's asking maybe if this happened to them. There is no evidence that he did this to any of his patients. He really targeted sex workers who he could discredit if he needed to do that. He often went out of town. He would send a bag with sexual materials ahead of time. His drugs that he would use. The FBI found 61 SD cards with 20 different women at least who were being sexually assaulted while they were unconscious. But unfortunately, because of the fear of prosecution, she was the only victim that came forward. And I can tell you, Jeff, she is traumatized. But she is looking for some good out of this, hoping that her speaking out will allow other victims to maybe come forward.
You said there was that stain upon what she did.
Yeah.
And her thinking that her story wouldn't add up, her story wouldn't hold any weight. That was something she struggled with.
And that's why predators like Gupta go after women like this, is because they know that they're in fear because they could get prosecuted for this. And that's what maybe needs to change in the system. What she's saying is that it traumatized her even more to be a victim of sexual assault. She never agreed to be drugged. She never agreed to be videotaped. She never agreed to be raped. But unfortunately, until women know that they won't get in trouble, they're not going to come forward, and predators like this will continue.
We know that during the evening time, you are busy. You come in and out of our newscast. If you missed any of that special report, please check it out online at WTOL.com.